First, I like to take audiences back a long time, and whoever wants to answer this first is fine. What is your earliest memory with your first Lego build?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my first memory of Lego in general was when I was 5 years old. I got my first Lego set. It was a car and a helicopter, and my mom and I actually built it together. We both sat down at our kitchen table. I built the car, she built the helicopter. Not only did we get to build the set together, but then we also played with the set together. And that, from that moment on, really sparked my love of building with Lego bricks and being creative. And the fact that my mom and I did that and bonded over that set together, I think was incredibly special. It brought us closer together. And that really stayed with us, and especially with me throughout my entire Lego journey, is that my mom's always been there with me, and that's what being on Lego Masters with her is. It's even more special because of that very first memory of us building together.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Luke is more of the builder and the Lego person, but do you have a does that same kind of memory trigger for you as well, or is there something else?
Absolutely, Ricky. In the early 70s, I had an older brother. Some of the early Lego sets were brought into our house, ultimately built and then taken apart, placed into a much larger corrugate box, and then those all too familiar memories of just digging through, looking for just that perfect Lego element, and trying to scour and create from our own minds and our own imaginations. Absolutely, that takes me right back to my childhood as well.
I love that. All right, so let's talk about trying out for Lego Masters. Let's talk about how the dynamic between the two of you began. Who asked who? What was that response like? Talk to me all about that.
Yeah, it was very mutual, the response between the two of us. Like I mentioned, we've been on this Lego journey ever since I can remember. I started going to Lego conventions back in 2017. Brickworld Chicago was the first ever show we went to. And I brought my massive 63 square foot custom Lego city, which my mom was there, helped me load into our minivan, drove it over to the show. And most importantly, my mom made sure that I was out in front of the table talking about my build to other people. And that got me focused on inspiring others and really showing what I can do, not just in the form of bringing my creations and saying, hey, look, but don't touch, but also getting into a mindset more so of this is what I'm passionate about. I love talking about it. I love engaging with people about it. And my mom was the one who encouraged me to step outside my comfort zone in that regard. And so we've made a great team. We do lots of projects in and around our house together. We're both very hands-on. We're both builders at heart. And so this partnership was very mutual all the way through. And I mean, to get this to get to spend this sort of time with my mom building Lego on basically the biggest stage in the world, it's a dream come true.
I like that. I like that. And talk to me a little bit about maybe the intimidation factor when you walking into the set, right? What's that like? What's the environment like? Take us through that mindset. Because again, at home, we're seeing this big build. We see a lot of Legos. There's a lot of pieces. But as somebody that's going in there and competing, what was that like for you?
Well, we are lifelong fans of Lego Masters, to the building competition. So to be in that room, to be walking in with my son, those emotions that you see are 100% real for Luke and for me. We were giddy with delight. The sounds, the sights, the opportunities, take everything that you imagine and multiply it. That's what we were feeling walking into that space. And to be able to do it with Luke, who really is the Lego master, I am a terrific supporter. I'm a terrific cheerleader, and I'm a most excellent learner and builder. But to have him by my side was exceptional and really just made my heart grow three times larger.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit about that, Luke, right? What maybe caught you off guard in the early stages of the show, trying to navigate the build and try to navigate what you were building and maybe looking around and seeing what the other competition had in store?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like my mom said, everything on the show is much bigger, bolder, brighter, fun, but also much more intense than it comes across on screen. Especially week one, I remember very clearly we were right next to Ben and Michael, and they ended up having the winning build that challenge, and that was incredibly intimidating to see such talented builders all across the room and even right next to us. It really makes us want to step up our game and try our hardest. But that knowledge, especially going in and amidst the early rounds, seeing these incredibly talented builders it pushes us to the limit and it makes us go beyond that limit of what we thought was possible. And then the intimidation factor of elimination is always very real, especially in those early episodes. The fear of, well, we don't want to go home. We want to make sure we try our best and just really show everything that we can, bring it all to the table, leave nothing left. It's very, very intense. It's a real deal feeling. And the eliminations hit hard. They're very legit. When people get sent home, it's hard to see. And going throughout the competition, losing people that you become close to like that is definitely a bit of a gut wrencher, but it really is legit. All the emotions and all of that behind the show coming to light on screen, it's multiplied even more in person. It's very powerful.
Yeah, you're starting to build these connections. You know what I mean? As you further and further get into the show, right? Talk to me a little bit about that Batman episode, right? It was a big win. Was that like a motivational boost that you guys kind of needed to kind of carry yourself for the next few episodes?
Absolutely. It was also a build that was truly from our hearts. We had seen some of, and actually, I think we'd seen all of the excuse me, we'd seen all of the Batman movies from that series. And having that personal connection, and that was a very true story about Grandpa Dave, his support for Luke, what he did for a living. And it really was a bit of divine intervention and the feeling of joy and closeness that we had not only with each other but also with our families, because our families are what shape us. And to have those types of people in our lives who support us unconditionally with these amazing wild ideas of doing something as crazy as getting on Lego Masters. It's so wonderful to share that not only with each other, but with our families. And we were giggling, we were laughing. The ATV build, the mono wheel build, and how that big rig ultimately ended up, I think exceeded our expectations, right, Luke?
Yeah, definitely. And to top it all off, winning the Golden Brick, I mean, that's basically the ultimate trophy pre Lego Masters finale. I mean, winning the Golden Brick, only a handful of teams have ever done in the competition. And to do it with that sort of build that my mom described is absolutely unforgettable.
Yeah, talk to me about this week, right? Quite ambitious, picking the bed. A bold choice, in my opinion. Fantastic in another way, does because you do have some elements of the bed that are just, especially the headboard was just absolutely mind blowing, right? It was beautifully pieced together. Even looking at it when the two guys came in to pick what it was. If you go based off the headboard, you couldn't tell the headboard was a Lego. Obviously, where it falls apart is the bedding itself. Talk to me about the choice of picking the bed and then possibly what possibly went wrong there as well.
I'll start with that, Luke, if I could. Luke's dad and my husband is a thought leader in both strategy and strategic thinking. And one of the key principles of that strategic thinking and strategy mindset is differentiation. Keeping that in mind, what has always differentiated Luke in the Lego building space is his choice of scale, from his Lego pinball machine to his Lego kart and some of his massive amusement park builds and roller coasters. Luke has always been about the big build. Luke, I'll let you continue with the rest.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we saw the bed, obviously we looked around the room and saw some of the other objects, but for the scale that we've gone relative to other builders in previous weeks, we knew we wanted to keep stepping up the game. And like my mom said, differentiation, especially in the stage of the competition that we're at, with being in the final five in such a rules oriented challenge where accuracy is key. Going big is a great point of differentiation, especially if all the objects look really realistic and they all compare in that sense. Sometimes bigger is better, especially in my mind when it comes to Lego building. And so going for the biggest build in the room is certainly a risk. Sometimes those risks pay off, sometimes they don't. But we were happy with the decision and going for it and really just putting it all out there and just swinging for the fences and seeing what happened.
Yeah, I think if you get eliminated, I mean, you don't nobody wants to get eliminated, but I feel like this was a hell of a build to really go out on because again, it is because you know what I mean, it's definitely unique and the pieces were there, right? You know what I mean? You guys had the element,
Yeah.
you had the pieces. If you pull it off, it might be one of the coolest builds we ever see on this show. So it was quite impressive. But speaking about those builds, and this is my final question here, and I'll let you go first. What was your favorite
Okay.
build you had on the season?
Mm. Certainly the Bat Big Rig, in part because of the family connection, in part because of the joy that we had. And I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but I'll put this note out there, and that is the bed was really interesting and impressive because in our family, we believe that if you shoot for the stars and miss, at least you'll be in space. You'll be closer to the moon. If all you shoot for is something that's reasonable and obtainable, you'll never know what you can do. So I'm always going to recommend that folks, kids, continue to reach as far as you possibly can, and parents continue to encourage your children and your family members to reach further than they ever could possibly have been. You'll enjoy the ride, I promise you.
Luke, your favorite build on the season?
Yeah, and yeah, echoing that statement, I think my mom and I had something to be proud of every single week and every single build. Like she mentioned, the Bat Big Rig was fantastic. I loved that with the family connection. The bed was incredibly ambitious. One of my personal favorites still is certainly the cake challenge. When in doubt, turn a beauty challenge into a structural challenge. As someone who has a very engineering oriented brain, as soon as it was mentioned that height was a factor that they were looking to judge, I that made the decision in my mind. And that was also incredibly fun for a few reasons. One, I mean, going for a structural challenge, going for the tallest build in the room, being the tallest builder on our season, I think was very fun. And again, pairing up with another team, making a super team with Maya and Jamie, having our little Lego Masters family, as we like to call it, was absolutely incredible. They were fantastic to work with. Especially that early on in the season, as my mom and I were still getting to know each other and our build styles, and really working to build that unit in comparison to other teams. Immediately being paired up with another team, I thought was a really special experience, and led to an incredibly cool challenge, and honestly, a very memorable outcome for us as well.